And we're live now, folks.
We are. Congratulations.
All right, and let's go live over on the Redidio. Here
We will.
8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Oh my gosh.
What is that?
I'll tell you exactly what's happening. On my sound device, somebody is hacked into me at home and is listening to garbage. So let's just see if we can start this again.
Someone is listening to garbage.
Oh, jeez. Sometimes you spill a little bit of the grounds when you're throwing them off.
Hey, that's all right. That's not a problem.
Yeah, goes the headlines, man. They all just go to plan. They're brave and fixed and breathing. You know the wrong.
Good morning, Barry. How you
doing? Your skin just got about fix a spot. And you should give me that good news.
Oh, yeah. Friday morning, 21-6, the net right here on Triple G, the grounds with Giles, Galtz, and the grounds. Hey, this is where we talk everything from politics, peanut butter to you name it. This is having coffee with these fellas. And you know what? Today, it's kind of a free-for-all because, well, we were waiting for Scott to tell us what he thought he wanted to do, and he got stuck behind a school bus.
So how about that? Getting stuck
behind the school bus. Now, the grounds, of course, brought to you through the financial support of our friends over at Fantasy Factory. Fantasy Factory is a romantic boutique located in McHenry, Illinois. Family-owned and operated. We're dedicated to catering all of your intimate needs. They like to think of themselves as relationship enhancements for all walks of life. Whatever your pleasure, the Fantasy Factory family can assist you in bringing your fantasies to reality. Located at 818 Front Street, right across from the library in McHenry, Illinois. Check them out at www.fantasyfactorymchenryil.com or give them a call at 815-385-7399. And now, let's pop it over to Giles and Galtz.
Wow, G&G. Good morning.
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. Your hair looks good today.
Thanks. I actually did something with it. Oh, man.
All right.
What a morning. What a morning.
You were a little. You made a nice entrance there.
A fast entrance.
Fast one.
Yeah. I was running behind this morning, and for a good reason.
Yeah.
Kids are going back to school.
Mm-hmm.
The school bus I got behind stopped at every freaking street.
I noticed.
Are we
kids on when I left this morning, like way early, there were actually people coming out of their houses and kids and such.
Isn't that awesome to see?
And for them, I suppose.
For the world, man. I mean, come on, think about it. I mean, then I started getting irritated a little bit. I'm like, oh my God, really? And then I thought about it. I'm like, they're outside. They're going back to school.
They're going back to school, which I think is wonderful.
Normalcy is starting to creep back in somewhat to our lives.
Here's what I learned, what I discovered, is that I very much enjoyed the absence of the public.
Well, yeah. I mean, I did too. I did too, to a certain point, because you could actually get somewhere without a lot of nonsense, a lot of irritation from people that didn't drive, or people, that don't drive well, or texting like crazy.
Well, I mean, during all that, I did see some people driving like they were absolute lunatics. Nicole Elizabeth, how you doing this morning? She actually, congratulations, Nicole. She actually, for her business, just received a $6,000 grant from the local Home Depot right here in McHenry, Illinois.
Oh, wow.
To help her as she grows her business. And she's so community focused, and she does home crafted. Nicole, you can throw your business name up there. It's early. I'm still working on my first
And if you like blue eyes.
Of coffee. So
She's
does she
got
have
them.
blue eyes.
She got them.
I got blue eyes too. You look
That's
close
what I
enough
said.
at me.
If you like them,
There
she's
you
got
go.
I'm that Who song, Tommy.
That's awesome.
Man,
Miss
the guy.
Shep.
What is it? The man behind blue eyes.
Miss Shep.
What it's like to be
Something.
Oh,
Yeah.
what it's like to
the man behind blue eyes.
That's right.
Look, we do not sing here, so don't even think that we sing.
Hands,
No one knows what it's like to be the sad man behind blue
The
eyes.
sad man. Oh, there it is. The
Right.
Sad man.
hands to
Nicola,
home craft.
Hands to home crafted. A wonderful business. That
Yes.
she really does support.
Yeah, she's actually done some work for
families
us.
and kids, and yeah.
Yeah.
What'd she do?
Yeah. Well, God, I'm not going to think about. I'm
Work.
pretty sure she did. I'm pretty sure she actually did the signs for us at the McHenry Downtown Theater.
Oh wow! All right.
I'm 99% sure, Nicole. If you didn't, I apologize, but I'm pretty sure that you did all that stuff for us. Please let me know if you did. And if
That's
I
pretty
didn't,
cool.
then I'm throwing a plug for her because I love her anyway.
Yeah.
But
Mary is muted.
Mary is muted, but
Mr. Guest.
No, I just didn't want you guys to hear me drinking coffee.
Oh, why are you a slurper? I've never heard you.
No, my
Coffee.
table is loud.
or whatever. So,
Your table is loud.
So-
Gotcha.
did you chime? Were you here already, Mary, when we were talking about why I'm late today?
Yeah.
Yeah. Which I actually am welcoming the new chaos so much, or the old chaos coming back to us, as far as so many more people on the street. I mean, literally seeing the school buses and these kids loading the school buses, even though it was impeding my morning because I was the one running behind, really just warmed my heart because these I couldn't even imagine.
Super spreaders.
Yeah, I couldn't even imagine what went through these kids' heads, right? This last 12 months of being homeschooled, let alone their parents. But for these kids, it's hard enough to pay attention in school. At least it was for me to pay attention and enjoy school,
Listen,
right?
Back in the early, the pioneer days when every kid was homeschooled, there was a lot of them out there with good 8th grade educations.
With 8th grade education, but they were right. But they also it was a different time then, and there was it's not even so much the learning aspect; it's the social interaction.
And that's the big thing, I think, is the major benefit, I think, for going to school, public, private, no matter what, going out to school, is the ability to learn social skills. Because people who don't go out and don't learn social skills, which I was just complaining because people are now back out and they're on my roads, getting in my way.
Your roads. They're
That's right.
The way we look
roads.
at it.
Getting in my way. But at the same time, you really do know people who you can tell someone who has been through a lifetime of a good amount of public interaction and developing social skills versus people who have not, people who have been hermited or, homeschooled, lived at home, done everything at home. They tend to not, by and large, I'm speaking in generalities, tend to not have quite the good set of social skills. I'm trying to be nice.
Yeah, hold on.
No,
Before I comment on that, hey, this show is crazy because there is a link right up there, https://streamyard.com/W9DYVR8VFB. Put that into your browser. Join the show. Join the show.
You
Come
just
on
threw me off with that total rambling of this link.
But here's the deal, Pete. You act as if that's a problem. For the man who doesn't like anybody in their bubble, you act as if the people who are socially awkward are now bothering you.
Right.
Well, that's kind of.
I just don't want you talking.
Well,
to
and
me.
that's- yeah.
That's what it is. I'm expanding my personal bubble, not just my personal space, but my auditory space as
Yeah.
well,
But and
my visual space.
see, for me.
I want no one in my visual or auditory or personal.
See, you need to just go back into your little hiding place and let everyone else come back out into the world, because that is what life is all about: is socializing, being with people, talking to people, helping people. The old adage, "It takes a village."
where else are you going to learn a lot of those anxieties?
Right. But also, where are you also going to learn, your social skills from somebody other than your parents? I mean, your parents tell you to do something, you don't do it generally because they tell you, but someone else tells you to do it. Oh, well, maybe that's the truth. You know what I mean? So, and these kids are at home with their parents, and their parents are, I'm sure, just worn out. I mean, I could imagine we didn't homeschool my kid, but we did attachment parenting. I mean, my kid was with us from day one. I mean, my wife and we had an at-home birth. I delivered my kid, my son. I didn't do my daughter, but I delivered my son, and he was with us every waking hour. Wow. Up until 7 years old. I mean, and we taught him immense things, and he's just a wonderful child. He's everything they said doing attachment parenting would be, but at some point you have thank you. But at some point you've got to let them, somewhat let the world beat them up, right? Or at least expose them to what is really out there. And these kids that have been homeschooled for the last 12 months, or well, not summer, but the kids have been homeschooled and not been able to go out because of COVID.
And if you want to see that product, stop by Reese's Bakery.
Yeah. If you want to see that product, stop by Reese's Bakery. We're going to be having our ribbon cutting soon. Yeah. Well, no, he's back at school right now. He's actually graduating college in May this year. Nice. Oh, my God. Proud Papa, man. I tell you what, I cry almost every time I think about it because they're going to actually have an in-person graduation, which is huge. It's not, they're not walking across the stage, but they are going to be in Kinnick Stadium, and they are going to be standing up and recognizing. I'm hoping that we can kind of morph it into something even better when we're there, because how do they stop you? Right. You know what I mean? I didn't say that in case somebody's listening, but it's one of those things that.
How do they stop? Let us show you.
Let us show you. Yeah, this is what I'm.
Mr. Giles.
Yeah, Giles, that rebel rouser.
Wait right over here.
Yeah. But so, I don't know. I am super happy to see all these kids out and about. I really am, but it did irritate me a little bit. And that's what sucks, because people don't take time to actually think about what's irritating them. And that most of the time it's actually something good or typical, or I hate to use the word normal, but normal.
Well, an interesting thing, right? Throughout the entire last year, it's the science, and most of the population hasn't taken time to study that science. They have just taken it by word, going, "Oh, it must be the science. The science. It
must be law."
Yeah. So,
yeah.
And Pete, you and I have talked about this a lot. Is you got to research. Mary, same thing with her show, My Loso Lifestyle. You really got to do some research on what it is. What do you mean? It's the science. These are the guidelines. What? Those are just words that you either choose to follow or you don't. Right. So you have to research, saying, okay, let me look at the science and see that the COVID, yes, anybody of any age can get it. We know that it's a virus, but it's very, 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 very small numbers. 18
comparatively, yeah. And that's the thing, is the knowledge, right? People aren't educating themselves, at least from my standpoint, and I know we can go way down the rabbit hole on this one, but they watch news, that slighted something crazy, right? Or they're watching, Facebook or social media, which is just really just ramping people up and messing with people's minds, because that's all they're listening to. That's all they're talking about. That's all they're doing. Sitting, of course, now we're doing it now too. But in my end, mine is.
You know what I did?
Mine is. Looking at it from a completely different perspective, as a person that really doesn't believe in vaccinations, right? Because my kids are never have been.
So what I did on Wednesday, you know what I did on Wednesday?
No.
I took the Facebook app off my phone.
Did you?
Got rid of it.
Oh.
And
wow, good for you.
I figured out how to still run the business, right? The station and whatnot.
Good for you.
Through the business aspect of Facebook, but totally just. I got rid of it. Got rid of the app. And you know what?
You feel better for it, I guarantee it.
Yeah. You know what? I didn't get pissed off yesterday at anybody.
Right. You don't get, and that's the thing too with this whole thing is, it's teaching people to be just complete assholes, because just because I have an opinion that you don't agree with, shouldn't mean you should, defriend me or, isolate me. That's crazy. The whole world is built on different ideas and different thoughts. And hey, yeah, you know what? You bring up a point I didn't think about. I still don't agree with you, but It makes me look at something differently. With all this news that people are getting from Facebook or Instagram or TikTok, which TikTok doesn't really talk about that stuff, I guess. But
I suppose you can find whatever you're looking for.
You can
anywhere,
right? But it's
Shayna. Good morning.
It's just crazy. It's just crazy the amount of misinformation that's out there for people.
Look, there's Gary.
I would have to agree with that. It's funny because I completely stopped. You say you got rid of the Facebook app. I completely stopped watching any news whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
And I will search certain things. And once I find, whatever is trending or topics or this, that, or the other, I research it myself outside of that and read the scripts versus how people portray it on the news, because depending on your tone and inflection and whatever, simply in how you say something could incite a different opinion on whatever topic you're talking about. And part of that came from my research with everything that I do with my diseases and my medical side of things, because in the same aspect that everything is politicized. So depending on what you're talking about or viewing and what station you're viewing it on or what media sources is putting it out there for you, it'll be spun. And it's the same with my medical research. When I try and look at stuff that can make me better, I have to dig deep enough to find out who put the money behind that study.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It can be slighted. Yep.
Right. It'll be skewed in favor of the large pharmaceutical company or the lonely little Joe Schmo who had a small clinical study based on an herbal science or something of that nature, like my oil of oregano.
Yeah. There's no money in us. There's no money in us being healthy, right?
No, there isn't.
No.
Yeah, here I am on no medication. So go figure.
The pharmaceuticals, and I'm probably going to get a million emails and calls, but the pharmaceutical companies and the government don't thrive if we're healthy.
No, they don't.
Just straight up.
You make money on treatment, not on cure.
You
make money on treatment. You do not make money on hell. You don't. You don't make money on healthy people.
Right.
It's supplements, maybe that industry, that side of it, vitamins, etc. But even, Shayna a little earlier said, research gets a bit tricky with the level of censorship now. And good morning again. And Gary was waiting on YouTube, but it wasn't moving. That's actually, you got in on YouTube with the little staging thing. We could see you there in your comment, but that's the staging element before we actually go live.
Right.
And
Gary, Gary says, always look for the money trail or follow the money trail. And that's huge, because if you really do follow where it's coming from, I mean, look at it. People don't even think about this one. Like, people always make a joke, or I always make a joke about, like, down south, right?
Yeah.
Every corner there's a bank and a church, because that's the way.
A bank and a church, yeah.
Right. Well, that's the way the South is, right? Because they're very religious, and
good morning,
a lot of people go there to retire, so they put their money in it. Well, now look at the amount of medical facilities and outpatient facilities that are popping up around. I get the older folks, the retirement homes. That's normal because the baby boomers are getting older, so that we're needing places to house them, which they're housing them in, communities, which is awesome. But look at how many medical places have popped up to come in and take care of.
I mean, they're now in strip malls.
Right, that's what I mean.
Yeah. It's just
Northwestern medicine's taking over around McHenry. I mean,
you get McMedical now.
McMedical, yeah.
It's not.
Yeah,
going to the doctor is not what it used to be. And you have to be very, very mindful and learn to ask. You have to learn to ask questions, good questions, to get good answers, or to at least assess the treatment you're getting by the professional provided. Shayna says, judging by most comment threads, a large portion of the populace doesn't read past the headline on a good day,
or the ticker running at the bottom of the screen.
Right, the headline that scares them. They go, "Oh yeah, that must be gospel."
And people don't read past that. And I got in a bit of a texting argument with my middle son about the whole vaccine thing.
It's not a vaccine, just so you understand. It is not a vaccine.
What I was
You're
talking
shot
with him.
You're shot.
It's actually a medical tool, and it's medication, and it's made in a derivative of a protein variant,
for your RNA protein,
that's associated with the virus that those proteins are known to be tied to.
Right.
So it's not really even an actual virus. Now people will say, "Oh no, fact checks, notes, and everything else." There are many different definitions of a virus, that's convenient semantics. There really aren't. Especially if you talk to a virologist and people who actually know what that stuff is, and an actual vaccine will have an actual element of the actual virus itself within it.
Right, either a live or a dead mutation of the virus, and this does not have it. Most people don't realize that.
It's got proteins that are associated with it, and most of these proteins are synthetic proteins. So they are hoping that your body goes, this protein looks like that other protein we just spot. So maybe we should go check out this protein and start attacking that. And vicariously or by chance, if the virus is attached to that, we're probably going to get that too. Nah, so anyway.
Yep.
Whatevs. I don't like shots anyway.
Right. In what you just said there, whatevs, kind of irks me. Because only reason it irks me is because that is the stance that I feel a lot of people are taking. Well, whatever. You know what? The science says that it's bad and that I should get myself shot.
Here's the thing. It's my whatevs.
Right.
Because my whatevs means.
But you're educated. You're educated.
Means I'm not getting that shot.
Right. But most people don't see that.
I'm not getting that shot.
I had a lady come into one of our stores yesterday, 2 days ago. Don't know how the conversation came up. It was probably me, but I don't remember. But literally, she said she got it. I'm like, well, you mind me asking why? Well, because I figured I had to. Everyone else is getting it. I was done with the conversation. Like, I about lost my marbles. I'm like, that is the stupidest thing I've ever heard come out of a person's mouth. Mouth. Mouth.
I heard stupid things come out of a mouse too.
Yeah, I own a mouse store too,
that
but
belong to other people.
It dumbfounded me because if you really researched and you understand what's going on and you feel that you need it, that's great. You do it. If you want to change your DNA,
on you.
That's completely on you.
Well,
it doesn't change your DNA.
You can't actually change
your
modify.
DNA.
Modify.
It doesn't modify your DNA. It doesn't affect your personal DNA.
No, that's actually incredibly difficult to do from any scientific or medical standpoint. We have the technology, but the delivery method and the execution method we do not actually have yet.
Okay.
Right.
So I'm just going to say this: I find it interesting that upsets you because through the support of Fantasy Factory, that's what's that's who's got the shows back today.
Yeah,
it's Fantasy Factory.
You will.
Wonderful.
The crew over at the Fantasy Factories, the owners will say, hey, man, if you're into different things, good on you. So for a lady to say, hey, I did it because, and you got upset with that, that's kind of hypocritical.
No, it's not.
How can you be upset with that when she walks around with butt plugs and, nipple twisters?
You had to go straight to butt plug, didn't you? You had to go straight there.
But I don't understand. I get what you're saying, but I don't understand how it's hypocritical, right? Do what for my philosophy for Fantasy Factory is I don't care what you and your partner do, right? Because it's you guys together. If your partner enjoys it and you're not hurting anybody else, I'm okay with it.
Okay, so that vaccine shot didn't hurt you or anybody else.
I think we'll find out down the way that it's got a lot more repercussions than people think, right?
Well, a loose bunghole.
But here's the thing. For her to say that, that's like her coming in and saying, I want to buy a butthole because I know a butthole plug because everyone else is doing it.
I want to buy a butthole.
Well, yeah.
Right? So that it doesn't make any sense to me. Now, if you
have to go extra large
right, but if you researched it, but if you researched it and you go, oh, this is really a good thing for me,
hey,
fine. But just because everyone else is doing it, you're a sheep. Don't do it because someone else is doing it or everyone else is doing it.
That's your personal feelings.
It is my personal feeling.
It's also troublesome when you have a split in the medical profession. Correct. When you have one doctor telling you that you should, and then one doctor telling you shouldn't. And believe me, I've as many doctors as that I have, I've actually experienced that where I have one doctor who refuses to wear a mask, doesn't wear gloves, doesn't believe in the vaccine. And I have another one who wholeheartedly believes in it, wears masks, his whole practice does, abides by the guidelines.
Very similar schooling.
So what do people do when we're reliant on the professional to tell us, what we're, we go for their guidance.
Research.
Yeah.
And
Do your
your
own
guidance
research.
is telling you two different things.
Right. Well, do your own research. Why does this guy believe in it? Why does this guy not believe in it?
So
I've got that in my family.
The medical industry calls it a second opinion.
Yeah.
Right? Hey, you've got cancer. I'm going to go check with the doctor next door.
Right.
See if
So,
they say the
and
same.
so, Mary, how does that make you feel? I mean, seriously, you've got one guy that says do this, and the other guy says don't do that. So now you're going, well, wait a minute.
So as somebody
What
who's
do I do?
undiagnosed and been through, I can't even begin. We'll be here the entire show if I list all of the doctors that I've been through, and I'm currently waiting to see if I can get accepted by a specialist
With
who's
Mary
immunocompromised
Yeah.
and says that they're, I got to wait to even see if I decide that I wanted to get the vaccine. I still have to wait to see if I can get it because of the fact that I have an active lesion on my spine. So it absolutely terrifies me because in combination of the fact that I barely can read and understand medical terminology because just the way that they listed it on my MRI is, the morphological, they couldn't have just said that there's a structural issue in my spinal column. So it's not as easy for people to research these things because you literally they actually take a class in one of the first semesters of medical school on medical terminology. So they speak a completely different language than us. So the layman can't really go and do research and read an actual article off of PubMed and get knowledge that they can comprehend into a good or bad thing. So it's not as easy to say research depending on the topic you're talking about, because believe me, it's terrifying. As someone who sits here and doesn't have a diagnosis and
that's
wakes up
horrible.
more or
That's
less
horrible for
paralyzed
you,
every day,
right?
it's tough.
When that's horrible for you, right? Because
Right.
you have something, that, and if you're like me or anyone in my family, you research things like crazy to create your own opinion or to create your own, not even opinion, just to get the proper facts and make your own decision.
Well, and Fukuntu asks,
Wow.
where did the flu go?
I think that's fucking
Heart
two.
disease?
It depends what syllable
I think it's
you
fucking
look
two.
at.
I chose
We can
Fukuntu.
say that. No. You got to be right here. Come on now.
I
Difference of
think
opinion.
Fukun- I
Opinion.
I think Fukuntu
Fukantu
is funnier. I like
Sounds like a place that you'd want to go after going to the Fun Factor or Fantasy Factory.
Yeah.
Well, that's the place you're going to after you visit, right? We're going home
Right.
to
Say
Fukantu.
it that
Stock
way.
up at the
We're going
Fantasy
home-
Factory
we're going home
and
to
go to
That's
Fukantu.
the Fantasy Factory.
If you say Fukuntu, you can go, Scott Fukuntu. How you doing?
Oh my God.
Boom. Chet Fukuntu. Mary
Fukuntu.
Fukuntu. That sounds like a joyous welcome.
It does kind of. It could be like an African, hello.
Or anybody's hello.
Yeah, Fukuntu.
Shayna says, remember the saying, don't mess with Mother Nature. Once upon a time, we thought it was a wonderful idea to extinguish the wolves. They were on fire, so we extinguished them out west. It seemed like a win at the time. Hey, putting out fire is always a win, right?
That's with the whole ecosystem.
However, the unintended consequence on the environment was kind of severe out west. Why people think humans aren't just another part of the ecosystem amazes me.
We are.
We are part of the
We're a very
ecosystem.
integral part of it.
And
The
here's
funny thing is humans are actually their own ecosystem. Do you know that?
yeah, we are.
Every human being, because like if you take a person and send them up into space, they have their own ecosystem on them, and they're worried. They're actually genuinely concerned that our ecosystem could turn into, like literally life-threatening, planet-threatening, different kinds of viruses and stuff. Because all of the bacteria and viruses and germs that live on our body every single day.
Yeah.
You take it up to space and they grow unbelievably fast and they can't control it. So it's an interesting topic. And you can live without your body. Your brain only needs oxygen and something else, sugar. So you can cut your brain or cut your body off and just let your brain.
Yeah.
Sugar's horrible.
No, not for your brain.
No wonder my brain doesn't work because I don't like sugar.
It does need that.
Yeah.
Fukuntu. I'm sticking with Fukuntu.
Fukuntu.
I like that.
Okay, that's fine. I'll work with that.
Okay.
I'll
All
create
right.
that.
No need for vaccines. Humans create these issues. Bad humans.
I wouldn't say bad humans. I wouldn't say that. But I would say questionable reasoning behind these things, right? And that's why when this whole thing started, and I keep jumping back to me and my family, but obviously my family is the most important to me, but everyone figuring things out is important to me. We were in Mexico when this whole thing took off, right? And we started talking to my wife, and my kids are voracious readers, like voracious, like they know. They read 20 different sides to an
issue.
An issue. Thank you. I can't talk. And then they make their own educated decision, right? So while we're down there talking about whether we're even going to come back to the States, I had a house ready to rent in Mexico because once you come back, if your business is closed, right? So anyway, long story. The whole time I'm like thinking to myself, I'm like, this really doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So I was driving around with my vehicle for probably the first 6 months that said question everything on it. Mm-hmm. That's all I want people to do. I don't know if I'm 100% right. I think that when it all plays out, I think what I'm believing and saying will be highly recognized and pretty close to right. But what I'm saying to people is just question everything. Don't accept it because they tell you. That's why that lady the other day just pissed me off.
That's how we raised our kids.
Well, because she didn't question everything. She just did it because everyone else is doing it. I mean, that's retarded, and I hate to use that word, but that's ignorance.
But is that what she told you because she didn't want to have an argument?
No,
Maybe she did research.
No, she did. She's like, and it was just like it wasn't like I was badgering her because it was the first part. She's like, I'm like, oh really? And how did it? Because I'm interested, right? Yeah. If you're getting it done, I'm interested. Some people, it messes with other people. It doesn't. They've got a couple different vaccines. One that takes 2 shots, one that takes 1 shot. I mean, why is there a difference in that? First off, it should all be the same if it's really a science thing, right? Science is very, very straightforward. This works, right? It's like an if-then.
They're both pretty much the same. It's just a different dosage. But I have to jump off, guys. It was a great topic, a great conversation, but I have to go to the dentist. Yay.
Oh, we need you today, Mary. Don't leave. But that was my thing. I just didn't feel like the lady questioned everything.
Thanks, Mary.
Thanks, Mary. We love having you every Friday.
Tune in to My Loso Lifestyle.
She might bring treats.
We're going to do Thursdays at 8 a.m., so I'm announcing it on the ground. We're doing Thursdays at 8 a.m.
7.
Oh my God.
My Loso Lifestyle.
7.
Brighton Shirley.
He said 7. We discussed 8, but 7 is good.
All right.
Yeah. I don't know. We can move on, but my thing is just people question everything.
I gotta go.
Question everything. Don't be a sheep. And live your life. And if you feel it's not right for you, don't do it. But don't do it because someone else is doing it or says to do it. The science doesn't add up. It doesn't.
Well, I think it's very difficult for people, a lot of people, my impression based on what you just said and what I've heard too, is I've heard basically the very same thing from a lot of folks. I think we have to. Everybody is doing it. Number one, no, you don't have to. Number two, a lot of people are doing it. And again, if you feel that way, a lot of people succumb to peer pressure or societal pressure. It can be kind of a scary thing if you think I'm not like everyone else.
Yeah.
That's a scary position to take. I've done research out the freaking wazoo, and I do have the luxury of having a brother who's a surgeon and a sister who's a nurse. My wife's side of the family has people who were nurses.
My wife's nurses. A nurse. My daughter's a nurse. My niece is a geneticist.
So I have my
brother's a doctor.
Of being able to ask them questions and them, they are very cautious in what they say,
right?
Because they know that I have an audience, so I don't use their names, I don't say who they are, but people can figure out who my brother is not on Facebook. My sister is. She has a different name. She's not a Galt,
right.
So different name entirely. But again, they are actually restricted from what they're allowed to say to general public by the medical companies they work for.
Right.
And again, you look at the money, like you said a little bit
follow
earlier,
the money trail.
Follow the money trail. But they have taught me how. Mary was talking about, a lot of people don't research. They don't necessarily know how or where to look or what to read and understand.
Right.
They've taught me how to, if this says this word and you don't know what that word is, here's where you go look for that word.
Right.
And it will explain in very basic terms what that word means. The medical industry loves to take words and create them, especially pharmaceutical companies.
Right. Let me answer this real quick because I really feel bad. And Shayna, and I did correct myself right away, but I didn't really mean that word in a bad way. It's what I really meant to say is it's ridiculous. What she's referring to, folks, is I said, to me, this whole thing is retarded. And I don't mean that in a negative sense. I actually have volunteered much of my time for mentally challenged and handicapped children. So that's not what I was meant and going for. So I apologize. It was ridiculous. I worked with Down syndrome kids for many, many years. It just, to me, and the reason I came up with use that is because it's
an old habit.
It's an old habit, but it's so irritating that, it just makes zero sense to me, right? It's ridiculous. Yeah. If you make a decision or you do something that potentially, right, could affect the rest of your life without really looking into it and really doing your own research, to me, that is the word that I used. And I apologize. That is not what I was going for. I was just going for, it wasn't meant to shock factor because it is a very disrespectful term.
I don't think you need to over apologize.
Well, no, I do because it does have a big negative connotation.
No, this kind of thing annoys me. I'm sorry. It does. You do not need to over apologize for it. It did come out. Shayna, I'm sorry if that word bothered you. However, it was aptly used because retarded comes from the observed diagnosis of what before we knew to be Down syndrome and other things, or anything, as a matter of fact, is a retardation or a slower or retardation of growth or development.
Right.
And if someone is experiencing, actually, Shayna, what you very brilliantly pointed out right there, that everyone is doing it as part of a PSYOP protocol. A lot of people don't even know what that is, but go search that, go research these things because there are actual functions and records you can get. Very interesting thing. But go take a look and do your research on those. That's very right. But if you are developmentally stunted or stopping your personal developmental growth, that is a retardation of growth. Now, I know how you said it. I understand how you said it, and I appreciate that you apologized to Shayna.
Right.
But I think we can let
and we'll let it go. But that's just really that's
proud of you for responding to that, Scott.
That's not that's just not what I meant at all. I just want people.
R word now.
So
no, it's not.
So the interesting thing to me is the CDC stands for what?
Center for Disease Control.
What is the
Control.
last C? Now, we as people throughout the world now have come to rely very heavily on what has been reported from the CDC. Now, when growing up in the 80s and 70s, the CDC was a bunch of petri dishes that scientists overlooked to make sure anthrax and things didn't get out of control.
It was started for a good reason.
Right. So my question would be for those folks out there who don't go and visit and read journals and things that are put out by the Center for Disease Control, what kind of control has been put on this quote unquote? It's not even really a disease; it's a virus, right?
There's viruses everywhere,
right? So and now they're double mutating. That's what viruses do to stay alive, folks. That's why you have to get a flu shot, or supposedly have to get a flu shot,
which doesn't work,
to hopefully knock out the strain of flu that's coming. This is very similar. It's a virus. So the interesting thing is the last C we seldom overlook throughout this last 12 months with this pandemic that's been worldwide is the control part of it. And they've done a brilliant job controlling
this whole situation.
Fantastic job of
controlling the population,
exercising population.
Everybody has been controlled and confined and scared, and so just so you understand too, folks, that my views do not in any way, shape, or form
reflect the views.
Reflect
the
views.
Advertiser sponsors.
Right.
Of 216 Net or the 216 Net.
Right. And I want people to understand that. I believe in everybody has the right to do what they want. My businesses have nothing to do with that. This is my personal opinion, and I know I'm going to get my butt chewed out later from my wife.
We don't.
But at the same token, I think it's important to actually just discuss these things.
Mhm.
And, like I said, my big thing, if nothing else people get from me, believe it or not, I am very intelligent. I don't show it when I talk to you, and on the street
I'm
and
very
stuff like.
intelligent. I just don't show.
I just don't show it. You don't realize it until
Tell
you've
me
known
about
me
the
for a
buddies,
while.
George.
But is just please, people, please, please, please. If there's one thing that my life does for anybody is question everything.
Yeah.
Just don't do it because someone else is doing it. Don't do it because it's what everyone else says it to do. Don't do it if you haven't done your research. Do your research. Make an educated decision. You went to school, hopefully at least until 8th grade. You know how to read. You know how to write. You most likely have a smartphone, so you can dig up a million different avenues and different opinions and make your own, excuse my French, fucking opinion. Don't be a sheep. Don't just do it because everyone else is doing it or because the CDC says to do it. Do it because you know that's in your heart what you feel is best for you and your family and the world.
But at the same time, don't be mad at those who choose to do it. Don't be mad at those who choose not to do it.
But I'm not right. It's a choice. But for me, I'm not mad. I'm not mad the fact that she did it. I'm mad at the fact that she did it because everyone else is doing it. Why not? How messed up is that? Are you going to shoot yourself because so many people are shooting themselves now because they're isolated?
When you're well, Davey's doing it. Oh, I suppose if Davey was going to jump off a bridge, you'd do that too.
And some will.
Our own old parental.
That's where
thing
bungee jumping started.
But at some point, you have to.
I want to try it, but don't die.
Just let an adult be an adult. And I get your frustration. I completely understand.
Yeah,
that.
you can see how it's firing me up.
I mean, it's because I have a huge problem with anybody censoring anything as far as information, as for studies, as far as even words. Now, there are words I will self-censor on myself. So I get that. And Shana, I can appreciate your frustration at what you heard a little earlier. However, I have a huge problem with censorship. I don't like it. I don't agree with it. I'm a huge
Facebook.
Facebook. But again, that's a private thing. People use it as a public. They think that is a public service utility, and they use these social platforms that way. It's not. Someone owns this shit. It's a private
and they're
enterprise.
Making billions on it.
Billions.
So, but you've censored a lot of stuff out of your kids' life as they were growing up.
Yes, some things. Yes,
but most likely, I don't know how Pete raises kids. Censored things out of their life.
Things that we felt were not age appropriate.
But he probably had. He had questioned everything and chose. These are things that maybe it would be better for them to learn later in life.
If you don't like censorship,
that's your choice as a parent.
Censor,
right? But that's your choice as a parent to help your kid grow up without too much bullshit in their head.
I don't. It is hypocritical of me to say.
Yeah,
but I did do it.
Right.
But you did what's right for your kids.
I did what exactly.
And you were most likely knowing you knowledgeable of why you did it. You had a reason behind it.
As an adult,
to control them.
Hey, but so does Facebook. They've got a reason behind it. They have a
They
narrative and agenda.
Money.
Yeah.
We love Facebook.
Yeah.
Follow the money trail.
But listen to what I'm saying. It's okay when it's my family and I can make those decisions. It's not okay.
Says post the StreamYard.
Well, I'm just wondering. We don't have a lot of people, so I wonder if maybe it's not.
And Gary has been contributing to our conversation.
Yeah, sorry, Gary.
We've not.
Gary from Singapore. Morning.
From Singapore. Gary, you can get back in here too. Gary says the CDC actually does not exist in the minds of the Southeast Asian countries. I think it's more known only in the Americas and Europe. Well, it's an American thing.
So it's right.
Europe listens to it because, they're Europe. The Singapore Health Ministry takes the lead from the WHO, never the CDC. And frankly, Gary, the WHO in our eyes over here is...
poppycock.
That's a very, very
because they're honest.
Poppycock.
We give no credence whatsoever to the WHO.
Why is that?
Because they're full of crap. They don't communicate honestly. They don't communicate directly. They only disseminate information they want you to know.
Because they sit behind blue eyes.
Wait, also, the CDC does that.
The CDC does that too. Why? Because they are.
Who owns them?
The WHO also is Pinball Wizard.
No one knows what it's like to be the man
Hidden
behind
Blue
blue
Eyes.
eyes.
Yeah, we don't give
Sad
any
man.
credence to the
Sad
to the
man behind blue
WHO.
eyes.
We started the show that way, right?
Right?
And quite frankly, the CDC is kind of right up there with it over here.
Can we
It's
play
what-
that
it's
song
what
at
we've
the end?
got.
No,
We can't because we're on Facebook,
That's
and
right.
Facebook will shut us down because Facebook has their own agenda,
Censorship.
and they don't understand that we are a
It's
licensed
just
internet
it's
radio
for the
station.
best of the people.
Them
who are
sons of
listening.
bitches.
It's for the best of the people who are listening. That's
Wow,
all.
we're really like just today.
It's a hot topic, and I apologize. And all this started because I just had a school bus in front of me slowing me down.
It wasn't even a short bus.
It wasn't. No. Whoa.
Oh, there's Mary.
So-
She's back. I thought you were going to the dentist.
I am, but I had to shower, and I'm not taking you guys in the shower with me. I like you guys.
Hey,
but
Thank you. I
I do own a
appreciate that.
store for that.
You could have
I
just set
draw
us
the
on the
line.
toilet.
Or for showering?
They could have just put us on the
Yeah.
back of the toilet. Would have been fine. Shayna says, I agree with you, but why isn't any of
What's that
your
got to do with
business?
shower? What the fuck is that?
That's a tinkle when people pee on you.
What? We're not going there. Thank you.
Let's go
Question
back.
everything.
Let's
Goodbye.
go back. Yeah, let's go back to Shayna's comment here.
Shayna
I
said-
agree with you. But why isn't any of your business what they do? I'm horrified watching it happen to smart people all over. It's actually a topic I've been involved with for some 25 years. I am the parent of a vaccine-injured, retarded adult child who set me down this sketchy medical path.
That sucks.
I am so sorry to hear that, Shayna. It's and I don't even. It's hard for me to even respond properly to that because the stuff and the shit that you've been through because of something that you did for your child out of love has caused you nothing, I'm sure, than heartache and pain. And you probably did it with the information that you had available to you at the time.
Yeah.
I'd love to
that's
speak
my
to you.
problem with and there's no right answer. There's literally no right answer because the science behind vaccines and behind so many other things is valid and it's good. The problem is when other people, like all of these different food chains, and everybody doesn't question anything, and you're telling people to research stuff. Research where your food comes from, because if you think the FDA does anything, the FDA is owned by Big Ag. Tyson
what?
Foods is
You know what's
literally
funny?
the largest food purveyor in the world, and you think that they don't influence our markets. And it's the
You want to
same
hear
with
something
vaccines.
crazy, Mary? Because I know that you deal with this every day. The FDA actually, their requirements and their guidelines. Thank you. See, I can't talk today. Are more stringent for pet food, raw pet food,
Yeah.
than our food.
Yep.
Think about that one. The amount of FDA requirements, because we sell raw pet food at Reese's over at Riverside Drive. They
You know
get-
why that is? Because people care more about their pets than they care about themselves. So you're more likely to sue a food provider
they do
because
the
of the crap
research.
that's in your dog food than
Right,
you will
they do.
sue over the stuff that you eat.
Right, and there's my thing again. They do the research. They question everything, right? So the FDA has more stringent rules on the raw food that I bring into my store.
You did all that tapping is
Oh,
going through.
I'm sorry. I see how you can tell I'm getting, but that it's crazy. There's more guidelines on dog food than human food. If people actually really realize what's in our food, since it's been, I'm going to say the word, genetically modified, right, by big pharma, big business, right? They wouldn't eat. They'd be living on their own farm. Oh, look at her walking outside. Look at you, girl. You go.
So really, the truth that I like what Gary says.
You're muted.
Oh, she muted herself.
I was just saying my beautiful house. I have to say I love this house. You saw? Oh yeah, Scott's been here. He's my inspector.
That's right.
I don't remember. I'll have to come over for coffee.
So I like what Gary says. As with all medicines, there's never 100% success rate. There's always be that in first cases. Absolutely. And that kind of goes back to what Mary said at the beginning of the show is we kind of have our own ecosystems. We really don't know. That's why I love the disclaimer from a lot of the medicines that are out there. If you're allergic to, how do I know if I'm allergic to?
Right. Or you take one medication to fix something and it gives you 12 other problems. Like, what in the hell? Why would you take that?
This anxiety medicine will give you diarrhea, dry mouth, vomiting,
Right.
sweaty armpits, smelly.
Right. Or it may cause a heart attack and die. Well, I think I'd rather have the anxiety.
I think so.
So
Right.
here's my question.
What?
I'm not opposed to vaccines. I believe that they do serve a purpose. I don't like that most of them are loaded with crap and preservatives they don't need to be. So I was happy when the COVID vaccine came out and they removed a lot of that crap. That being said, like you said, they don't know enough. There's not enough research. There's not enough time behind the science. And when I went in the hospital with transverse myelitis, the first thing they asked me is, were you recently vaccinated? So my question was, can vaccines cause this? Well, no. Then why did you ask? Why is that the first question that you asked me
Because
if vaccines can't cause this?
Because it can, and that's the problem.
Right.
There's so many things that people don't even realize cause more issues, and from doing, taking medications or, the vaccine, right? I mean, it gets over the top crazy. People don't educate themselves on it, and they do it because they do it, because everyone else is doing it. I mean, a lot of the things that people have these days that they take medication for is an autoimmune disorder that can be subsided. Okay, I'm going to be very gentle with this. Can be subsided or aided very easily with the use of some basic stuff that God and Mother Nature, if you believe in God, I'm more Mother Nature, has given to us.
Oh.
Okay, hence the reason
here's my question.
Hence
We
the
all
reason
talk
I
about
own my CBD store.
So everybody talks about, all this, the vaccines and all this stuff and these pandemics and blah, 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 and what can make us better. How about if we actually did something about our relationship with our own health? And if we didn't have such an obesity and diabetic and heart condition, all based on the garbage that we eat and shove down our gullet, if we were a healthier society, how do you think that we would have handled this pandemic?
We wouldn't have it.
It have
because
been
it attacks to immunocompromised for the most part. Don't get me wrong.
It would have been large.
It would have been a lot less. It would have been a lot less invasive and a lot less of an issue. I mean, this last year, think about this. Have you heard one thing about the flu? Nobody got the flu this year. Nobody died of natural causes. Nobody died of cancer. They all died of COVID.
And
hospitals get kickbacks.
I have 4 people, good close friends this year that have died, right? Not one of them was from COVID, but it was listed on their certificate, COVID.
Because they get kickbacks for it.
Yes, they do. They 100% they do. That's why it's
the thing with so like all of the retail establishments that you're seeing closing and going, kaputskis, and all these landlords, and you're going, well, why wouldn't these landlords want to keep everybody and keep these businesses? Because if you lose all your tenants during COVID, during pandemic, and you can claim a COVID hardship, whatever, claim the hardship, let them go, and then get new tenants later.
No.
And that's the American way right now. Just, let me get my money and I'll be fine.
Well, Shayna makes an incredibly good point right here, which is one of the things that I've been talking about with a lot of people that I know. Vaccines are an awesome no-fail business. They cannot be held responsible for any damage since 1986.
Because you sign your rights away when you get it.
There's already additional legislation in process that is projecting claims based on what's going on right now for 2025 and beyond. So if they are preemptively adding to this 1986 legislation for things they're expecting to come up in 2025, because that's the projected produce rate, the projected show rate of what's going into people right now. I mean, come on. This is just.
Why would right? I know exactly. It's infuriating. Why would you sign away your rights that, if I get this, which is supposed to be good for me and help the world, I can't sue this company when I'm all jacked up.
Yeah.
I mean, that makes, it makes no sense to me.
Yeah.
It just, why? I mean, if they know that it's going to cause me.
My thing, you were talking earlier about doctor's visits and how they're different now than they used to be. And that's always my complaint is I want a doctor who's present in my care. And part of the problem with vaccines, like I said, I'm all for them. But if I had more thorough care, more thorough investigation into how are you, what have you experienced, what have you been through in your life to point towards the direction that I'm immunocompromised, then maybe they wouldn't be so quick to just stick everybody in the shoulder and say, well, 1% of you are probably going to end up paralyzed with transverse myelitis from this, but we'll take the risk.
To eat this. I thought you
don't
chicken beef jerky.
Hold on, Mary's got a good one
I
going.
was getting excited.
Sorry.
I'm sorry. I interrupted you.
No, you're and I love.
That's why I told
thought-
you were getting excited about it.
Yeah, I was.
Pete, that's where you know.
You and it's keep going, Mary, because you've got a great point, and I apologize. I threw them. I threw a squirrel type moment at them.
You
so
did.
I gave them some dog. Well, they thought it was beef jerky, but it was dog jerky.
Here's why I was getting excited because
they didn't. Pete did.
I did.
Yeah, sorry,
Ken
You
did.
still gotta eat
Pete
it.
was uneducated on that one.
I just saw chicken recipe, Thinker's chicken recipe, and I'm like, it's chicken jerky. I can eat this and not aggravate the gouts. They can stay home and not come visit me.
There you go.
So anyway,
Right.
So here's
Mary,
vaccines.
Mary, you obviously know a lot more because you have. It sounds like quite a few things going on in your life, and it sucks. But you do your own research, right? But you do your own research, right? And you make educated decisions. You're questioning everything. I mean, I couldn't friggin' imagine going to the doctor with the issues you have, and one saying, "Yeah, it's good," and the other one saying, "Nope."
yeah.
I mean, what do you go home? You go home losing your freaking mind, right? Like, am I just like some mutant that, I mean, why is one guy that went probably to the same school, had to do the same education as the other guy, and one guy says do it, one guy says don't?
Now, here's the funny thing. All of my doctors roll their eyes when I tell them that my chiropractic acupuncturist is the reason that I'm walking, and he's the one who sent me to the hospital when my liver failed. And they go, oh, okay. Well, let's see what we can do. They still can't tell me what's wrong with me. I'm still trying to figure it out. But the only person that has kept me upright for the last 22 years is Dr. Ron.
And you know why that is? I mean, I know you know why that is, but you know why that is? And I'm just kind of throwing this question out to the people. My brother is a chiropractor, right?
He's present in my care. He knows. Right. He asked the questions.
Well, they ask the questions. They look at things from a completely different standpoint. What a lot of people don't realize is what a chiropractor does. Is a chiropractor keeps your spine in adjustment or in alignment, right? And your spine is how your electrical impulses are spread throughout your body, up to your brain, up to your muscles,
up to your
conduit. It's everything. It's your brain and your spine. It's straight up. Yeah. So if your spine is out of whack or has what's called a subluxation, which is where you have an interruption in your electrical field, right? Your body can't act accordingly. So what a chiropractor does is adjust that, puts you back in shape, if you will, or back in form. I can't even talk today. I'm telling you, it's crazy. So your body, because your body is the best chemistry set ever made. If you put in good stuff, your body, granted, there are different scenarios, but as a general rule of thumb, if you are eating right and you are taking care of your spine and you're taking care of yourself mentally, which is important too, right? Your body will react accordingly and help you. Yes, there's certain things that, going to a chiropractor can't help, like if you broke your back, but it is the most important thing to keep your spine in adjustment so your body can do what it was meant to do.
And now we'll be sending an invoice for advertising and support to the Chiropractic Association of America.
Or we can send it to my brother, Natural Health Chiropractic in Libertyville.
There you go.
That's another good place. I like them.
What's that?
That's a good place.
Oh, yeah. Natural Health?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
my friend goes there.
Yeah, in Libertyville. That's my brother. He's been there for 20-something years, and God bless my brother because he's the one that actually kept my dad. My dad was supposed to have you'll laugh at this one, kind of, was supposed to have his spine fused together. Right, because the doctor said so. He didn't, and because he questioned everything. Yeah. He went to a chiropractor, and now my dad, years ago it started, literally was going to stand up or sit down the rest of his life because of what they said he needed to do. Went to a chiropractor, adjusted him for a couple weeks straight, and now he can run, he can dance. He's 82 years or almost 82 years old. The picture of health. They take supplements. They don't take any medication. Oh. They take supplements. Right? Because we need supplements. We're not getting this stuff from our foods anymore. The genetic modification of our food.
We're at 1 minute. So
sorry, guys. The bus was in front of me this morning, and it started this whole rabbit hole thing. But this is something.
I think
this is a great conversation. Right. So just question everything. And I'm gonna leave this with everybody
I think this was a lot of fun.
for the day, and then everyone can yell at me and I'll load my email up. But COVID certificate of vaccination ID. Certificate of vaccination ID. Think about that one, folks.
They got us the acronym all together and all prepared.
Think about it. Question it. Love everybody. It's your life. Do with it what you want. But remember, you're responsible for a lot more people than just yourself.
Ladies and gentlemen, love to thank you for joining and getting cut in the net. 21.6 the net. To all of our listeners, everybody who partook in this, you don't know how grateful we are for your brilliance and your thoughts and your comments. Thank you so much.
Very much.
You're what makes this thing work.
Give me that good.
I want some chicken jerky now.
Come back
Thanks,
in about
folks.
a half hour for Bridging Civil Tension, the moving of the All-Star game. That's what they're going to be talking about.
Or getting rid of baseball in Georgia or wherever it is or whatever.
Yeah.
Love everybody out there. Be good. Be healthy.
I will take this home.
And don't say be safe, because just do your life.
Just do you.
Just do you.
Yeah. You'll have good times. Thanks for the fun.
Thanks,
have a good
Shayna.
one. Shayna, thank you very much.
And if anyone has questions,
And
they can
Facebook
call
user,
Pete Gall
Thank you.
at
They can
1-800.
call.
Don't bother me.